Russia's President Vladimir Putin has said he is not trying to absorb his neighbor and ally Belarus. He made the comments during a meeting with his counterpart, Alexander Lukashenko, in Minsk. Putin went on to blame their enemies for wanting to stop the integration of the two countries. The trip comes amid warnings from Kyiv that Moscow may launch a new assault on Ukraine from Belarusian territory. It's Putin's first visit to the country since 2019. And DW's Russian affairs analyst Konstantin Eggert joins us now from Vilnius. Konstantin, after the talks, Putin and Lukashenko held a joint press conference. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it was very sort of long on rhetoric and clumsy jokes, Nicole, but not on substance. It was pretty short, frankly speaking. There was nothing that indicated that any kind of momentous decisions were taken. Frankly speaking, it's in terms of rhetoric, it's a very standard attempt to show unity. And also, frankly speaking, Putin doesn't have that many allies these days. So flying to Minsk and showing some kind of united front with another very isolated dictator is probably just one of the very few moves he can actually undertake. As for hints of some kind of a military operation being launched from the territory of Belarus against Ukraine, or Belarusian army actually joining the Russian invasion or invading Belarus invading Ukraine from the north. Look, it's not something they're going to announce at such a press conference. So for me, it seemed that it was a pretty standard interaction between the two. And what my sources in Minsk are telling me is that yet another time, Lukashenko was talking about what? He was talking about money. That's all the kind of thing he always talks about with Putin. This time about the stability of energy supplies to Belarus from Russia. And his regime is very dependent on Russian energy supplies, oil and gas. And it seems that he was discussing this and probably some discounts yet another time with Putin.
This dependence kind of puts Lukashenko in a difficult position, right? Because fears are Putin wants to pressure him to join a new offensive on Ukraine. Will Lukashenko be willing, in a position to resist this pressure?
Well, so far he managed to resist. And diplomats in the region, diplomatic sources I talked to in the region, they all say that using the Belarusian army to invade Ukraine, to supplement the Russian efforts, will probably be a disaster for Lukashenko. The army is not, basically, it's not in a very good condition, number one. And number two, it will not be willing to fight the Ukrainians. And I think that this is something that Lukashenko actually wants to prevent, because this will reflect very badly on his regime and actually could speed up its collapse. So it seems that what we've seen over these last, 9 months, nearly 10 months today, is Putin trying to pressure Lukashenko into doing something concrete and specific, and Lukashenko trying to give away as little as he can in terms of real strategic help to Putin. Today at the press conference, Lukashenko said that they started deploying new Russian air defense complexes in Belarus. Okay. What does it mean? Frankly speaking, not that much. So I think that it was yet another conversation so far about not many specifics. And if there were, Nicole, they wouldn't announce at the press conference.
Konstantin Eggert in Vilnius. Thanks, Konstantin.